Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day as always. Richard Marks right there waiting for you. And we're calling this one, Can a Person Be in Love with More Than One Person at a Time? This was actually a question that was posed to me. Someone actually hunted me down on a platform that I normally don't get found on all that easily, so that was pretty cool. But she actually asked a really awesome question, and I was excited to do this show. And I don't know, we're going to kind of see how this goes. Not a whole lot of prep I could do for this. This really just comes down to what she made some great points and my understanding of it and kind of what I've been through. And so we'll take a stab at it and see how it goes. But really, can we be in love with more than one person? I don't mean loving someone, and that wasn't her sense of the question. So let's maybe try to separate the two of those right off the bat and see if we can start to define what those means. So when I've loved someone, there's been lots of people I've loved. Good friends, right? Love these good friends, really care about them, always looking out for the best of them, enjoy talking, enjoy spending time. Certainly very fond of supporting, right? We'll go to shows or go and check out something they might be interested in just to support, right? So to truly care about someone is great. That's love. You're loving, you can love animals, you can love people. You can love siblings, right? So love is kind of a really beautiful thing. You can love nature, and I really do think that version of love is pretty consistent across the board. There's many, many different ways to experience love, and many, many wonderful avenues that it can come from. I mean, I'll even admit there was a wonderful meditation I had one time where I was imagining meeting Mother Earth, actually some version of her, and it was actually ironically a younger version of her. Like I saw I don't know, 2 or 3 versions of her. One was kind of a little bit of more of a mature woman. One was a bit more of a younger kind of adolescent, if you will, and then one was basically a child, right? And the one that I was talking with, I guess, was the slightly younger, or like the middle-aged one. I guess probably. Whatever the case was. But the experience I had when she connected with me, or when I connected with her, was amazing. Brought tears to my eyes. It filled me up with this level of love. And it was almost similar to being in love. In fact, I think those are, in my opinion, kind of where those distinguishing differences start to play. Loving someone's great. I think of them, yeah, you're just awesome. I really, I love you, and you're great, and it's, it's those kinds of things. But when you're in love with someone, it's a body experience. It's a level of feeling that will bring goosebumps to you. It'll bring tears to your eyes. Imagining life without this individual seems so lonely and empty, right? It's that level of power that one feels, power in the sense of the power of love, the power of that experience, that heartfelt connection that exists. And I think that's another example of it. I mean, I think we're connected to everyone, but when you've truly got that in-love connection and that individual thinks of you, you feel it and you immediately go to love with them. You immediately feel that level of love. I love you. I would sacrifice happiness for you, not necessarily healthy, but these are some of the traits that tend to accompany being in love, right? I can't get enough of you. I can't spend enough time with you. When you're actually making love to one of these people that you're truly in love with, being inside of them or them inside of you is not close enough even, right? There's this, I want to be even closer to you. I can't imagine how I could meld and get inside of your body any more than I maybe already have. That level of love, that level of pure emotion that is so powerful, so life-changing. To borrow a phrase from, it was a Julia Roberts and Mel Gibson movie way back in the day, Conspiracy Theory, where he talks about Geronimo, how love gives you wings, how it lets you fly, how it makes the impossible possible. That, I believe, is an excellent definition of what being in love is, or what it means to be in love. One thing that I want to caveat too, and we'll see where we go with this from outside of this, but being in love with someone is an amazing experience. But when you have, say, for example, a child walks up to you and says that they love Johnny or whatever, right? Some child they're in preschool with. And a real common reaction from adults is, oh, well, you'll know real love one day, honey. Or, this is just kid love. This is baby love. One day you'll know real love. I think that is one of the most horrible things to say to a child. First off, through all my experiences in life, and all the levels of love that I've been through, when I was younger, my concept of love was as big as it possibly could be for my age, for where I was at, right? It was the biggest thing I knew. Love, being in love when I was younger was an amazing feeling, and I didn't know anything more than that, right? So to say it wasn't real love because, right, 20 years later, I experienced a level of love that was far past that level of love, doesn't mean that earlier level of love wasn't love. It means I've grown. It means my understanding of love has grown. It means the distance between not loving or hating and absolute love has grown larger, right? I think, to me, that's the concept of love, right? It's that difference between the two extremes, because really, ultimately, these are just polarities in life, right? Everything is defined based off its opposite. Hot water is only hot relative to cold. If you've never experienced cold water and you put your hands in hot, you might go, ow, you might go, but you won't have a word for it. You don't know what it is. It doesn't mean anything because you don't know the opposite. So love is one of those things that grows and progresses. And as we develop and evolve ourselves emotionally, spiritually, in relationships, as we start to truly define what's really important in life, we start to put like a new definition around what it is to be in love. Love, on the other hand, could be very physical, could be very something they're giving you, something that you receive. You enjoy their conversations. You are, I don't know, there's that, it's more of a mano a mano, more of a handshake. It's more of a, yeah, no, I love you, you're great. When it comes to in love, and I truly think someone finally reaches that point of being in love, that to me feels more like I don't even care if they give love back. That's not why I love you. I love you, because I'm in love with you, because thinking of you and then just connecting on a heart level is such a beautiful feeling that I can't imagine feeling any other way, nor do I want to. The feeling is what's so profound when you're in love. And I think that's also another difference between just loving and being in love. There's that depth of that depth and breadth of that emotion, of that feeling, of what it does inside of you, the goosebumps, the whole 9 yards. It gives you wings. It makes you believe in the impossible. It'll cause you to push yourself to be the greatest mother or husband or whatever you could ever imagine to be for somebody else. It gives you a level of power, that level of control. Well, not control. It's almost lack of control sometimes, right? So the question she was kind of asking, that I think now that we've kind of defined love and in love, right, is if you've been in love with more than one person at a time, have you truly loved or been in love with either of them? And her opinion, and I actually completely agree with her, is that no, you really can't. If you think you're in love with more than one person, this is a great question to ask yourself. Have you ever been in love with more than one person? I'm not going to say you're right or wrong. That's not my point. What I'm hoping to do is use this as a something that'll help define what your love is. Is it a healthy love? Is it truly being in love? Or are you maybe someone that's still kind of filling out some of these karmic experiences? Maybe looking to get into loving someone for reasons where what they can provide you, how they can benefit your life, what can they bring to the table that you don't currently have. That's love, okay, but being in love is so beyond that. It's so, the person matters more than you. The person is so beyond outside of you. I think kids are probably a great example for those of you that have children. Being in love with your child is just, it's that level of care. You think of them and it just melts your soul. Or that soulmate, that specific someone that does the same thing for you. That's just that extreme power. I think there is a big difference between loving and being in love. And I do truly agree that when you're in love with someone, there is no other someone. Part of why my recent specific someone woes, and I talked about how I'm kind of backing away from this, the concept of being in love with someone, especially if you're in love with someone that maybe can't give that same love back. Maybe there's no relationship to move forward with. Maybe it's just not in the cards for whatever reason. They are not at a place in their life where they can reciprocate or be in the level of relationship that you are wanting to have with them. When those times come and you find that you're in love with someone that can't reciprocate, what can often happen is that can keep you from actually manifesting that person that you're hoping to be in love with. And I don't mean that specific person. I mean that concept of being in love with an individual. That is where I think a lot of times we forget the difference. Like when you're trying to manifest a specific someone, right? And you're doing it because you're in love with them. You're forgetting the concept of manifesting being in love with someone who's in love with you. Sometimes we get hung up on the specific someone because of how strongly our feelings are for them. When in reality, this relationship that's not working yet, maybe is keeping you from falling in love with the I don't like that word, falling in love with the person that will actually combine beautifully with you. Your heart and souls melt. Your frequencies resonate. I'm not saying to anyone out there that you can't have your specific person. Yes, you can. I've manifested specific people on many occasions, and there's been cases where I haven't been able to manifest a specific person in the sense of having a relationship with them. Doesn't mean it's wrong. Doesn't mean I'm doing anything wrong. It doesn't mean that even that relationship might not be wonderful if it were able to happen. But it does mean, in my case anyway, that this individual is not in a place in their life right now where they can appreciate and enjoy and spend time with me. And it's kind of pointless to be in love with someone if you can't spend time with them, if you can't go on wonderful excursions together, have talks about deep things, share with each other soul-felt experiences, waking up next to each other, making passionate love with each other at odd times of the day for that matter, right? You wake up at some odd time, or, it's like you walk in from work and they're just the way they look as they're over the sink, and you're just like, I have to have you now. I have to be close to you. I have to experience this. There's an enormous amount of power in that being in love. And I think what's really important, and I think this is probably one of the purposes of why I've done this show too, is a lot of times when we get stuck heading down this specific someone path, and we're not getting that reciprocated back to us, but we are truly in love. And you can ask your own questions to yourself to try to define if this is truly in love or if we're just loving someone. But if you're truly in love with someone that can't right now, can't maybe anytime soon, but is unable to reciprocate that back to you, you're keeping yourself from being able to be in love with someone that can be in love and be with you. I don't believe, and I think there's so much merit in her question. It was such a beautiful question, and I loved it. I don't believe either that you can be in love with more than one person at a time if you're truly in love. If you are technically in love with more than one person right now, it might be a little more like when Sarah came home and said she has a crush on Johnny in preschool. It's not that your love's not real. It's not that your love's not significant. But when you're truly in love with someone, the feelings that you have will probably shadow where you're currently at, if that's the case. If you've been in love with someone and you're trying to manifest that love and it can happen, oh man, more power to you. Keep doing it. Utilize that feeling. That in love power is amazing. And keep doing the imaginal from exercises, right? And keep the law of attraction energies moving through the day to kind of get you there. But get out of your own way. Stop putting the handbrake on. Imagine it and know what's coming. And that's great. If you're possibly like me and you were in love with someone, and I mean truly in love, man, that's only two people in my life. And I've got to come to terms with this. And so maybe when I figure it out, I'll share with everyone. But I've still got to come to terms with the fact that The feelings I have for this person are off the charts. I have never experienced the level of love, what it meant to me, the level of sacrifice, the level of touch, the level of comfort, the level of joy, the level of it's new. It's completely new to me, and I have no words for what it actually means. It is so profound. So at some point, I need to understand what that was for, what that's about. Why'd I go through all that if I'm just going to fall in love with someone else? Granted, it brought about a lot of positive changes. A lot of really wonderful things have happened to me because of this pursuit and this huge amount of love. But that all being said, sometimes you got to back away and open yourself up to fall in love with your soulmate, with the person that is ready to fall in love with you. If you are truly about having a relationship, and a loving relationship at that, sometimes we need to open ourselves up to that. If we're so fixated on a specific person, period, like nothing else matters, seriously step back and look at what's going on with why you're so dead set on that specific person. Odds are you're afraid you're never going to love somebody like that again, or you feel guilty if you're like cheating on them and you find someone else that you fall in love with, or you feel like I admit I'm wrong. That's hard for a lot of people, but a lot of these things are kind of egocentric, kind of fear-based, and you're never going to manifest anything of great value coming from fear, coming from ego, coming from trying to prove to other people. Like these levels of trying to work and manifest things aren't gonna bring to fruition what you're after. These are things that are good to keep in mind. These are very good things to keep in mind. And I think this distinction between in love and loving is a really, really, really important question to ask yourself, especially when you're doing the specific someone kind of path right now, when you're trying to manifest the specific somebody, and maybe there's some questions as to what your true motivations are. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Hope it makes sense. It's Dan RadioStyle. Please contact me at danradiostyle@gmail.com, and I'll be more than happy to try to help however I can. And like I said, this was a listener-chosen show, and I actually asked the listener to choose one of the songs, to make it kind of fun for her and for myself. So we're going out with her choice of a song. It's Adam Craig. It's a bit of a country tune, a little more country-esque than I would typically play, but it's actually a pretty good song. The song is called Just a Phase.
'Cause I'm a Friday night, you're a Sunday afternoon. I'm a reckless rock and roll, and you're a last slow dance to a midnight tune. Deep in your heart